Welcome to Tell Us Your Story with Dr. Ebony. I am Dr. Ebony. Today's topic is Stranger in a Strange Land. My guest today is Johnny. Welcome, Johnny.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Ebony. Thank you for having me.
I am so happy that you're on here. And for those of you who have watched my other episodes, you know that I always have full disclosure about my guests. And this is the second time Johnny and I have actually spoken, and the very first time we've seen each other. But how we made this connection was Johnny was simply doing his job and he called my mom. And from that phone call, they struck up a great conversation and a friendship, so much so that he now calls my mom auntie and my mom calls him nephew. So that makes me the cousin.
That's a pretty good story so far. I actually like hearing it more than being in it. I'm like, this is interesting.
So, as you can tell, this is a unique story already. So, Johnny, for those of you who do not have the privilege of knowing you personally, what is your real name? How do you pronounce it?
So actually, my first name is Jenan, but
Okay.
it has a little bit weird spelling, and it gets everybody messed up. So I
Mm-hmm.
just simply go by Johnny. And what happens is, even when people hear, sometimes my accent comes out a little bit. And even with my accent, people ask me, how do you spell Johnny?
Okay.
And I'm like, give me one alternative, please, because there's only one way to do it, really. I wasn't aware of the second way to do it. So what do you have in mind? And and that's pretty much just for the ease of English speaking, people, because we do have majority of the language that we actually need in the country is English.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to make it a little bit easier for everybody. And my last name, as you can see, is Haji Alich, and it also gets everybody confused because we have a different alphabet, everything is a little bit different, the pronunciation of the letters.
Mm-hmm.
But so I just go by Johnny, and it's we can stick to that.
So, what is your country of origin?
So originally, I'm from a small country in the southeast Europe. Um, it's former Yugoslavia. So the country existed as Yugoslavia for after the World War II until late 80s, early 90s, where it fell apart, and it was compromised. It was comprised actually of six states. And one of the states that I'm from is called Bosnia Herzegovina. So we had the war in the 80s and the 90s, and the country fell apart. So the country as a union fell apart into six different states. So
Mm-hmm.
now it was a small country to begin with, and now it fell apart into six different smaller ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the country that I'm from actually is comprised of two different entities that actually make the country even smaller.
Wow.
So the whole country has about same amount of people living in it as downtown Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And it's a whole country on its own. So just to give you a little bit of a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I use Atlanta, Georgia, as an example. That was the first place that I came to when I came to the United States.
Okay.
And but yeah, so that country is known for having a lot of conflict going on.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if you are familiar with the history of the World War I, actually started in my hometown. So there were several different powers that were there. The Western world. Actually, the best way to describe it is the area where the Western world meets the Eastern world. So the country is the most western point of the Eastern world and the most eastern point of the Western world. So we are right there on the line. So
Wow.
and I think that actually is pretty good for like the character that we have as people is like we are neither Westerners nor Easterners. We are always right there in the middle, and we are fortunate to have so many different languages and cultures and things come through that is really easy for us to go anywhere in the world and adapt to it, you know. So blend in like camouflage, you know. So before I put you to sleep with this long history.
No, not at all. So my next question would be, all right, so you're from Yugoslavia, Bosnia. That's it.
Yeah.
Bosnia. So, and again, thank you for explaining that about the Bosnian conflict. Some of them called it a war, and it did take place in the late 80s, early 90s. And so what would be your ethnic background per se, coming from Bosnia?
So it's a little bit difficult to say, but we did actually DNA testing here just to find out, and I came out to be, so the area, just like you would call, let's say maybe Illinois, you would call it, you know, Midwest, or you would call Florida and Georgia Southeast, or California is Western state, you know. So the area that we are from is called Balkan. And actually, it's a funny play on word. The word bal in Turkish means honey, and kan means blood. So it's called the land of blood and honey.
Wow.
So, and it kind of accurately describes, you know, it's a beautiful landscape, nice, you know, I don't even know how to describe it, but the land, the soil is, you can pretty much grow anything anywhere. And it's plagued by conflicts for the last couple thousand years, you know, so it's literally the land of blood and honey. So we did the test, and I came out at like 93% from Balkans and 7% from Eastern Europe. And I'm like, I paid the money for the DNA test when I could have just looked at my passport. So, you know, I was really looking for something exciting, and they say you are exactly from where you just came from, and I say,
there's nothing different about you.
They're like, nah, you are just from there, and I'm like, I just got here from there. I want my money back. I was really looking for like a long list, and now you guys are not giving me the entertainment that I was looking for. To back my money, you know, I could have just asked mom, "Hey, mom, where we from? Where we just came from?" Oh, okay. For free.
Yeah, that would have saved some money. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that would save the money for the test. But so in that area, so the Slavic people of Slavic origin, like they break down into three different subgroups, like East Slavs, West Slavs, and South Slavs. And actually, the word Yugoslavia, Yug for us means south in our language. So Yugoslavia means literally translated the land of South Slavs. So we share the same ethnic background with like Russian, Polish people, who else? You know, people from Ukrainians, you know, that area. But being in the Balkans, in the Southeast Europe, we have a lot of, like, for example, in the land where I'm from, this is where we had the Roman Empire there. We had the Byzantine Empire there. We had the Ottoman Empire there. We had the Moorish Empire there. We had communism there. We had German invasion there. We have like so many different people that came through. And unfortunately, just like everywhere else in the history, all the conquerors, you know, raped their way through. Right. So it's really difficult to, we have, I don't know if you heard of the Golden Horde with the Genghis Khan, or we call him Genghis Khan, but so we had them in the area too. So there are so many different people and ethnicities that came from. So it's kind of hard to really pinpoint the exact ethnic origin. So we are labeling ourselves based on the linguistic group that we are in. So our language is the closest one to the Slavic languages, so we kind of group ourselves with that. And then also at the same time, we had some conflicts with those guys, so they are one and we are different. So it's like my ethnic group, I'm just Bosnia. it is more towards the land that I came from than like blood type, line, skin color, hair texture, any of that stuff. Because it's we just got a completely different system that we label ourselves as, you know. So United States, as you can see, when you look at the census, for example, you will see that they have a completely different system
Right.
of grouping people together than the rest of the world. And then when you go to the rest of the world, even if you go into, like, let's say the Islamic world, the Muslim world, the Arab world, they are all Arabs, but they are Iraqis, Palestinians,
Right.
you know, Kuwaitis, you know, so they all have different subgroups and they group themselves different. And the United States is the complete opposite. It's like, it's difficult to explain, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But you did a good job just now. I think that summed it up.
Really? So did
I
any of that
think
make
so.
sense to you?
Yes, it made complete sense to me, cousin. I get it.
Did you learn something there, cousin?
I did. I really
Okay,
did.
great, great. So we're good to go then. We're good. I'm gonna test you on this off air.
Okay, you'll test me later. I got you. I have the video to back me up. I'm good.
Oh my God! It's supposed to be up here now, not by. Yeah. Okay, let me wonder.
So now you spoke about the difference between classifications of ethnicities from your country of origin to here in the US. So what do people assume your ethnic identity is here in the US?
So that really is based on who's the bad guy on the TV.
Mm,
So when Mexican cartels do something and it's all over the TV, all over the news, on those days I'm a Mexican.
wow.
When Arabs are doing something on TV, they are committing some kind of crime or atrocity, then I'm Arab.
Mm,
When Afghans, you know, Persians are doing something, I'm a Persian. So nobody ever says, hey, and I think we spoke about this before. Nobody says, hey, you remind me of the guy that pays taxes and feeds the homeless, you know. Everybody says, hey, you remind me of the bad guy from the movie, you know. How and why?
It's like, do I have this written on my face? What's going on?
What is it? No matter what I do, it's like, hey, do you know the guy that saved the little puppies from drowning? I'm like, yes, I do. And they're like, well, you don't remind me of that one. You know the other one that blew some stuff up? That's the one.
Oh my goodness. Wow, we laugh instead of crying. So I know I know that I try to give some academic information for different situations, but in this one, it's just more down to earth. And it says, when you assume, you make an ass of you and me. So please do not do that. Like Johnny said, don't assume that he's the bad guy just because. Just because you saw something on TV or heard something, don't do it.
And I try to explain to people too. There are so right now in the United States, actually in the world, there are 3 countries. There is America, there is Mexico, and there is Islam. And you gotta be from one of the 3. And I said, you know, Mexico breaks down to a lot of different countries and ethnicities. There is Venezuela, Portugal. There is Honduras, El Salvador. You know, there are so many different countries, and they speak Spanish, and they are not all Mexicans. Only people from Mexico are Mexican. You know, so if somebody is from Guatemala, they are not Mexican. They are Guatemalan. You know,
right?
And Islam is a religion. It's not a country. Arabs in Saudi Arabia, that's a country. If you come from there, you are not Islam. You are Saudi, or if you come from Iraq, you are Iraqi. You know, if just like when you are from United States, you are not automatically from Alabama. You could be from Washington State. You could be from Montana. You could be from Florida. You know, so it's you know, in the beginning, I used to waste a lot of time on explaining everything to people, So every time people ask me something, I took my time to sit there through 2,000 years of history and geography and linguistics and academics. Um, but over time, it was just a waste of time. I learned that, you can repeat something to somebody 1,000 times and they steal whatever they have in their mind. As soon as the news channel come on, it will just confirm whatever they have in their mind. And all of my talk and all of my speech was for nothing. It was in vain. So now, whatever people say, I just say, "Oh my God, are you Russian? How did you know? Are you Chinese? How did you know? You Jamaican? Oh my God, how did you know?" So, and that's it. Just cut it short. Whatever you say, I am. I am. Have a nice day. Let me go do my thing. You do yours. If you really want to discuss some things and learn some things, then really have open mind to the world. So what I see that's really keeping most people from progressing in life is they have whatever they have set in their mind. That's it. Done deal, closed deal, signed, sealed, and delivered, and that's it. There is no second opinion. There is no willingness to open their mind. Think about um, other options in the world, other options in other ways of thinking. Other is our way. McDonald's is the best. Coca-Cola is the healthiest drink. That it's medicine for my soul. French fries are great. And I'm like, okay, well, have a nice day, So what can I say, So now I just take it as a joke, and I actually, a lot of people, I think, laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah.
And it's actually the best teaching tool too. So people who are constantly sad and telling sad stories, everybody gets away from them. But comedians, for example, make a lot of change in the world too, So they crack a joke and make people think. And
That's
you
true.
laugh and you think and you laugh and you think. And then I think it opens your mind to different possibilities. So I like to make everything,
Yeah.
on a funny side. Is a little, and then when you're smiling with people, it makes them feel better. It makes you feel better, And we kind of find some common ground somewhere, because if I just call you and say, "Hey, Dr. Bowers, everything in this world," you can say, "Oh my God, have a nice day."
You're right. You're
I have enough
absolutely
of
correct.
you understand? I have enough of my own problems. Now I gotta take a load of yours. Oh my God, you're right. Everything's horrible. Have a nice day. Let's just whatever, So
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. So let's go back to your country of origin. And how is your family structure?
as far as what do you mean?
As far as your family makeup, who lived in the household, who was around you? Did you have a lot of extended family that was around you, or was it just immediate family? As far as you might have had a parent, both parents, you might have had grandparents with you. How was that set up?
Okay, so it's pretty much like the rest of the world, really. So you have your immediate family. So you have mother, father, and children living in the same household, but it's pretty common that the entire family is nearby.
Okay.
So for example, my mom has 9 sisters and 2 brothers, and it's funny because all of the sisters, all of my aunties, they have sons. They have, and my 2 uncles on my mother's side, they both have daughters. So all the girls in the family have boy kids, and all the guys in the family have girl kids. It's funny,
That's interesting.
So I have 9 aunties with all boys, so I have a lot of male cousins, and a few female cousins. So it's very common that families nearby, like for example, right now my mom is living here with us, and we lost my dad in the war in the 1991. So ever since then, it was just kind of the 3 of us, me, my younger brother, and my mom. So now when we came to the States, I'm here. My brother lives in Oklahoma right now, in Oklahoma City, and he has his own business there that he's into. And my wife, my son, my daughter, and my mom will live here, just north of Dallas, Texas. And we kind of keep like that. And my in-laws are maybe less than an hour away from us.
Okay.
And when we moved here, they actually moved from Georgia here with us too.
Wow.
Um, Not immediately, but shortly after, so they can be close to the grandkids and daughter. So here we are spread out a little bit more than back home. And again, my homeland, what I'm from, is about size of Virginia. So the whole country is the size of Virginia. So it's kind of hard to be far apart. Actually, one of my furthest family members lived about 2 hour drive from my home back home,
Mm-hmm.
and we visited them once in the summer and once in the winter because they live so far. And
Mm-hmm.
now I drive 2 hours to work every day and 2 hours
Wow.
back. So the annual trip back home is my daily commute here. Just to give you
Wow.
things in perspective, how things are moving much faster and the roads are different, access to everything is different. Speed of life is like the tempo of life is completely different. So
Mm-hmm.
2 hour drive right now, when I discuss with my cousins, hey, you live 2 hours away, I'll see you in July. And we start planning right now for July. And if my client calls me from 2 hours from here, I'll tell him I'll be there in 2 hours. So it's like, you know, so it's like a completely different lifestyle, completely different understanding of how things function with logistics and just life in general.
Right. Right.
So pretty much that's how the life is. The family was set up, and the opposite of it is actually the opposite of the way the structure is set up in the United States. So here, the low income neighborhoods are in the city,
Mm-hmm.
and the more affluent neighborhoods are outside of the city limits in what they call the suburbs.
Right.
Our system is the complete opposite of that. The
Hmm.
less money you have, the further out from the city you live. And the more, the bigger your tax bracket, the
Mm-hmm.
closer you are to the city.
Wow.
Um, instead of having, um, you know, public housing in the urban areas, is
Mm-hmm.
the opposite. The public housing is far away, is out there. Don't be
Wow.
in the way, go out there somewhere. If you're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
do anything with your life, get out of the way. So
Wow.
everybody that actually is doing something is in the city because that's where all the commerce is going from. And we are not connected with the internet like we are here. So you can
Mm.
be on the island in the middle of on the beach right now. You can still conduct this interview, which is not really the norm back home, or at least not when I was growing up there. So I'm pretty sure
Right.
now I haven't been back since I came to the United States. My mom went a few times, um, and I don't really have any desire, so to say, to go back. So the area that I'm from is now controlled by the people who we had a war with,
Mm-hmm.
and there are still a little bit of tensions because the war was only 20 years ago. So it's still, the how can I explain it? Like the wounds are still fresh.
Mm. Gotcha.
So it's like you can go there. We have the international presence now from the United Nations there as a police force. Like when you drive down the street and you see your state trooper or city police officer, we have the United Nations tanks there.
Wow.
So there is like a certain amount of comfort you can have, but then you can feel the tension in the air and like
Mm-hmm.
anything can happen at any time. And there are several incidents where, you know, people who had a war 20 years ago, there are still conflict in between. So I just got spoiled by living in the United States, being able to go to Walmart at midnight and get a pallet of steaks. So I'm like, why am I going to leave this and go over there and participate in something that's 2,000 years old when I
Right.
don't have to? I can just go to Walmart, buy me a car tire, shotgun, big bucket of lotion, and 72 steaks. At midnight, on top of all of that, at midnight. Do you understand? So why am I going to leave this and go over there? And only thing I'm going to have over there is worry about the United Nations or
Mm-hmm.
the people who we just recently had issues with, you know.
So,
So
did your family move to the US because of the war?
we actually applied. The war started in, so think of Yugoslavia as United States. So
Hmm.
it's a country that is comprised, I'm sorry, of 6 different states. So it was the war actually broke it up into 6 different new countries, you know. So imagine if United States went to war and then Texas was their own state and then North Carolina was their own country. I mean, not state, country.
Hmm.
Florida was a country, you know. Uh, New York was a country. So when the war first started in our country that borders actually is more towards the Western Europe, Slovenia, that was in 1987, and we applied because we knew that it was just a matter of time before the war. In the last, uh, let me just give you an idea. My grandfather, he lived in the Ottoman Empire.
Mm.
He lived in the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Wow.
He lived in communist Yugoslavia.
Mm.
He lived in the Kingdom of Yugoslavia, and
Mm.
he lived in the Nazi occupation. And he never left the front porch.
Wow.
He never left his front porch, so he did not go to these empires. They all came to him. You know,
Hmm.
so in his lifetime, he'd been in 7 different wars,
My
not
God.
like small arguments, but like international conflicts, you know.
Hmm.
So we just knew that whenever actually the area that we are from is called the powder keg of Europe, you know. So this is where all the conflicts will start from, you know. So that's like
Right.
the friction between, you know, the world, the Western world and the Eastern world is going to happen right here. You know, the
Hmm.
Roman Empire split in parts right there. Actually, we have a really nice poem. It does not work good in English, but in our language, it's like there used to be a Roman Empire and they were in Bosnia, and there used to be, you know, the Ottoman Empire and all of these other empires.
Hmm.
They are no longer here, but we are still here. You
Ah.
know, all of those empires have collapsed. So come on and invade if you want, but just so you know, after this, you will be no more. You know, so you know,
You're
so
not going to be here, but we still are.
we
That's.
still are. You know,
Mhm.
so you gonna come here, collapse, and then you know you're gonna go wherever you want to go back to wherever you came from, but we're still gonna be here, and and we don't really have the ambition to go to like let's say, hey, let's go somewhere and discover a far land with full of riches, and we're like, I gotta be back for dinner. My wife is gonna kill me if I'm not. We can go and explore like somewhere like within 20 miles from the house, but to
Hmm.
go overseas, ooh, no, man. My mom is gonna be mad. My wife is gonna be mad. My siblings gonna be mad. So no, I cannot. I cannot go colonize over there because I gotta be back at 7 o'clock. you know, you know.
Okay.
So they come to us. We don't go to them. So
Hmm.
uh, the we applied to come here in 1987 when the war first started.
Hmm.
So the war started, and then from there we moved to Croatia, and then from Croatia we moved to Bosnia.
Hmm.
So in 1989 is when it really blew up, like and big time. And then those other states they had a little bit of alliance with different countries, and my home state did not. So the war was the most brutal there because there was no, you know, like international involvement there, you know. So it was
Right.
supposed to be like a quick genocide that's going to happen over a 6 month period, you know. So there's actually a town called Srebrenica, and I can maybe text you or email you the name of the city. You can look into it. In 2 days, there were 8,700 uh, boys and men were killed in 2 days there, you know.
Whoa.
And not only they were killed, they were killed in under United Nations watch. So United Nations was present there when
Hmm.
it happened, you know. So we knew all of those things were gonna happen because that's just the history that we have in the region. So we applied to come here. So from there we left and we went to Croatia, Slovenia. We went to Austria, Germany, Italy, um, went to Algeria during the time of Muammar Gaddafi.
Mm,
And at that point, we were displaced refugees of war.
right.
So the land that we are from was occupied by, the people we had a war with. So we went to the United States embassy there, and we said, hey, we don't have nowhere to go. Everybody is deporting us from everywhere where we go. We are being deported from. And they don't deport you back to your doorstep. They just deport you to the border.
Wow.
And you have to figure it out from there. So what do I
Mm-hmm.
do? Do I go back in across the border to the left, or do I go into this country to the right? So it's like I can't just stand here on the line.
Mm-hmm.
So from there we went through some medical testing to make sure that we don't have any new diseases to bring in into the states, because here, as there are the healthcare is not the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, we love being here, we appreciate being here, but we have to say some things like, well, that's real. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have a toothache, your whole mouth is gonna fall out before somebody says, um, we can fix your tooth for free or at a reasonable price.
Right.
To get a root canal is like $1,500, and a lot of people don't have that kind of money sitting around for, and that's the emergency.
Mm-hmm.
So when we went through the testing, they said, okay, they flew us from there to Germany, and from Germany we came to New York. And in New York, the organization that was supposed to pick us up did not show up. So we were
Oh.
not on their paperwork. So we sat there for a couple of days in the airport, and another refugee resettlement organization brought us down to Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, Clarkston, Georgia, just on the eastern part of the 285 loop. That's where
Mm-hmm.
they bring a lot of refugees from that part of the world. Like uh, Bosnia, Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Iraq. It was a lot of Vietnamese refugees there too. And so there we actually started our life in the United States and branched out. So the reason I came here to Dallas, Texas is at that time I was driving trucks, and this was like the hub for the United States. From here I can go anywhere. From Atlanta, I was a little bit limited to where I can go.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the cost of the loads, the transportation was just in a different shape then. So we decided to move here to Dallas, and we've been here for about 10 years now.
Wow. So how was it? First of all, how old were you when you finally came to the US?
So I came here in November 1999, and in January 2020, I turned 18.
So in
So
January, wow, of
yeah, so I was,
2000?
uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, you said 2020. I was like, wait a minute, that was last
Oh,
year.
2000. No, I'm sorry. 2020, 2000.
I'm like, you're
2000.
way young.
Oh my God. I just turned 18 like a year ago. Oh my God. What's all these gray hairs in my beard? I meant
So,
2020, 2000, yes.
yeah,
What
okay.
I was looking actually for Y2K, but for some reason 2020 is on everybody's mind these days, so 2020
Right.
came out. So, but yes, so I was 17 and I just turned 18, like 2 months after coming here.
Hmm.
So, we came here, and then Y2K was going on. Everything's gonna shut down. Computers are gonna kill people.
Right.
And then we went over that, and then September 11 happened, and I'm like, can't go anywhere in the world, man. It's like no matter where I go, like what is going on? So
Right.
it's like it was off to a rough start, but I honestly don't see nowhere else for me to go. At least, a lot of people like to say, this is the best country, this is the worst country, the third world. You know those names that you hear. But
Right.
for me, honestly, like my children, if they are born in Georgia, but they are Texans. You cannot tell them any different. You know, they are Texans, and that's it. You know, big truck, and you know, diesel truck, and that's it. You know,
Okay.
so
All
so
right.
that's kind of how it goes. You know, so it's like for me at least. You know, I can't speak on everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I don't see myself nowhere else. You know, so
Okay.
after so from 1991 to yeah about good 9 years of being going from refugee camp to refugee camp
Wow.
to it's like I had
How was
here.
that for you to move so many times from refugee camp to another camp to how was that on you being the age that you were doing those 9 years? That had to be really tough.
Well, actually, you're probably not gonna like this answer because I'm glad that it happened to me then
Okay.
because it was just a norm. It was just the way of life. It was just how life's supposed to be. I
I
did
got
not realize that there are children that have a stable household and go to school every day and have lunch at school. I was like, that's impossible. My whole world is centered around my experience right then and there.
you. Right.
So if I'm going through this, I know you're going through the same thing overseas, whatever you are, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And if that would happen to me now, it would be extremely stressful situation. Now I have children of my own. I'm a little bit older too, so I understand the world from. It would be extremely uncomfortable, so to say, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But as a child, I was like, this is how it's supposed to be. This is just how life is. So it
Right.
was really not that bad. So because I did not live long enough to know the difference between,
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, hey, this is great. This is how life's supposed to be, so uh, bombings and shootings and the war, the atrocities and the horrors of war.
Mm-hmm.
Um, every day we bury somebody, so it's like, it's just a matter of, that's just how things are.
Right.
It just becomes your reality, and now that I think back, I think I have a little bit of a PTSD. But the great thing about it is, I'm always around people. I'm always busy, so I don't really have time for my mind to go into the
Right.
traumatized experience. So every time I'm like, I had a horrible childhood. I'm gonna go to Walmart and get a 25.
You love Walmart.
Well, to me, that's like the first thing when we came to United States.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in a neighborhood called Crescent Hills of Metropolitan in Atlanta, Georgia, and there was a Walmart, Kroger,
Mm-hmm.
right across the street from our neighborhood. And we
Okay.
went in there, and we came to the side where the produce aisle was,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw about 80 pounds of bananas. And I was thinking, my whole country where I came from doesn't have this many bananas. And one store in the United States has like,
Wow.
I saw like 50 bags of potatoes, and I was like, do people know this stuff is here? Like,
Wow.
really? Meat aisle, they had meat everywhere. They had like apples and grapes, and
Mm-hmm.
not like 3 or 4 grapes.
Right.
They had like pounds and pounds on top of pounds. And
Right.
I'm like, where, how, where, how? Where?
Mm-hmm.
How? It's like, they're like, look, we got the drones. They can fly the robots. I'm like, grapes, man. They got grapes.
You're still on the
I'm like,
grapes.
we got internet. So I'm like, kiwi, man. I saw this thing on pictures, man. I never seen it in real life. Have you ever seen a
Right.
robot? Well, forget the robot now. Look
Mm-hmm.
at bananas. So
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 just those small things that we take for granted,
mm,
like really made an impression on you. Like,
it
wow.
was it
This
was
is
great. So now when you say I really love Walmart, I'm like, it's open 24/7. I can go in
wow.
there tonight at 2 a.m. and tell them I need 2 pallets of whatever, and they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get on a pallet jack and wheel it out for me. And to me,
Wow.
that's just mind blowing, because I still have
Mm-hmm.
family in different places overseas, because not all of us came here to the United States. Some of us
Right.
stayed there. Some of us went east, some of us went west, some of us went north, some of us went south, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some of them that I talk with, you know, sometimes we talk on like Facebook Messenger maybe, or FaceTime, or whatever the case might be. And in the middle of the night, I'm like, hey, I'm going to the store to just pick up a couple of different things, you know. And they're like, how, man?
Right.
You're not
Right.
gonna break in, are you? I'm like, no, the doors are open. I don't have to break in. I don't have to steal nothing. I just pay for it, you know. And they're like, they have it. I'm like, not only they have it, they got like 75 on the shelf and another
Mm-hmm.
1,000 in the back, you
Right.
know. So those are the kind of things. And but yeah, so that's when we came to Atlanta, Georgia, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of new things. One thing you're gonna like this story. One thing that I like that I learned here, I learned about the struggle food. Have you ever heard of struggle food?
Struggle food. I
Yeah.
I live on struggle food.
That was one thing that I learned here, struggle food. And it was mind blowing to me because we didn't have that option. We had only two options, yes and no.
Ah.
You know, so we didn't have the struggle. So if you had
So
food,
explain the struggle food to everybody who doesn't understand
okay,
the struggle food.
okay, the struggle food is peanut butter and jelly sandwich, for example, or a hot dog inside of the bread instead of
Sort of a bun.
bun, you know, or ramen noodle soups, you know, those,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's, and to us, that's not considered struggle food. It's considered, yes, food. You know, you have a peanut butter and jelly, you're not struggling. You
You good.
you know, so
Right.
that was one thing to me, you know. So actually, I went to one of my friends' houses when I was, you know, when I first came here,
Mm-hmm.
and they opened the pantry and slammed it back up and said, "We don't have nothing to eat in here." And when I looked, you know, you ever seen in the movies when a case opens and there's like gold shining on the face, you know?
Yes, it's like, oh.
You know, so it was one of those moments to me. Let me see if I can send it to you like this. It was like, I'm like, you can feed 15 families for like 6 months with no food that you got in here, you know? So
Right, right.
it was, but one thing, I just don't want to seem like I'm talking crap or talking down on anybody. Now I am there. Now I open my pantry and there is like 100 items in there, and I slam it mad because there's nothing in there. I lived here long enough to do this, you know.
Right,
So
right.
you know, so
Wow.
it's pretty nice. Like
So
when I, mhm.
I'm sorry, just when I just want to get your whole experience as far as being in the South, not only going to Kroger or Kroger or Walmart.
Kroger.
I combine them. You're not going to Kroger and Walmart, that experience. But how was it actually just being in the South with the people? Because it's a whole different culture in the South.
It's actually, believe it or not, very similar to where we are from. It's
Okay.
very similar. It's very, very similar. There are things that are, of course, different, you know, like the language, the economy, but the people are the same. Every neighborhood that I lived in, I knew everybody,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so, and that's pretty normal for us, you know, like
Gotcha.
back home, we have very small houses and very small apartments because people go inside to sleep and shower, and that's it.
Right.
The rest of your life is outside.
Mm.
So I kind of like being in the South because it's the same thing, you know. Everything is happening outside. You go home to sleep and you go home to shower, you know. So people eat outside, people barbecue outside.
Mm-hmm.
Families are, you know, so you might not see your family every day, all day, but on the weekends, everybody gathers around. And I was able, in the neighborhoods that I lived in, I knew everybody in my zip code and their relatives from out of state.
Oh,
Because when
wow.
they come in, I'm there. When
Mm-hmm.
they leave, I'm there.
Right.
You know, so it's like I really enjoyed it. To this day, you know, the what they call the Southern hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I came in because I kind of just slid right into it, and it was a really easy transition from um, the schools that I went to, there was pretty much no other people from my country where I came.
Right.
So it was nobody that speaks my language or has my culture, eats our food, has anything from back home. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it was easy for me to come in because everybody was open,
Okay.
So I didn't have too many experiences where people, when I started getting older
Mm-hmm.
and the world started changing a little bit, I started seeing now. But when I first came in, it was like, hey, you're here, we're here. We're in the same place at the same time. Let's
Right.
make the best out of it. So I think it was a very easy transition for me, which I enjoyed because I noticed the difference between some other people from where I came from. They've been here for, like my mom, for example, still doesn't speak English. She speaks like five phrases and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
She never needed to. Every
Right.
place where she worked with a lot of people from our country. And
Mm.
then whatever business we have going on, I go and I speak.
Gotcha.
So whatever office, whatever institution we have to go to, whatever mail comes in, I take
Mm-hmm.
care of everything. So she really has no need to learn the language,
Okay.
you know. But for me, it was good because nobody else was there. It was what they call
Mm-hmm.
the sink or swim. So it's like you're
Yeah.
either gonna learn the language and take advantage of everything that's possible, knowing the
Mm-hmm.
language, or just stay, keep everything the same way. Uh, do you by any chance know the boxer Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, I know a little bit about him.
A little bit about
Something.
him. He has
I've
he
heard
has
something.
one. You heard something? Okay, okay. Well, you probably heard this too, but one good saying that I heard from him is he said, if you think the same way at the age of 40 as you were thinking as in the age of 20, you just wasted 20 years of your life.
Right.
And I see that actually in action every day. I saw
Mm-hmm.
people that I, first hung out with 20 years ago in the same place, in the same spot, in the same talking, same stories. Nothing happened in 20 years.
Right.
20 years flew by and nothing changed for the
Mm.
better or for worse. Just, you know. And then I see some people, 6 months ago, and now I see them again, and they are on a completely new level. So it's
Right.
like people are, I think whatever you put in your mind, that's really going to dictate the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
If
You're
you
right.
really strongly believe that you can do something, um, there's really nobody is stopping you and nobody's pushing you but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
and coming here, being in the South, the areas that we lived in, it was mostly like low income um, areas,
Mm-hmm.
and whoever wanted to have something really had to go for it. It
Right.
was really no handouts. It was really no, um, how can we say it? It was really no generational wealth put in place. It was just, I got to get it right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a good start for me because it made me understand immediately how the speed of life in the United States is. So it's like, um, I won't have nothing unless I go and get it.
Right.
So I like that I got put into that situation and that I was able to see how people are doing things, good and the bad. Is you live here long enough to know that there are some areas that's completely crime infested, and there are areas that are not. And in both, people are doing whatever they have to do to survive and
Mm-hmm.
to get better. So I
Right.
kind of like being in the South because that's a little bit more defined. Uh, right and wrong is a little bit more defined. Where you go out in the West, for example, what they call the liberal, and I'm not into all of that stuff, but so it's like where it, they are doing completely different things. So it's like
Right.
it's so
Gotcha.
great that they leave from there to come to the South, and
Yeah.
then we are much better than you guys. Why are you here? Oh, man.
A lot of times it's just because it's cheaper.
And it is. I have a friend in LA,
Mm-hmm.
and his house looks a little bit like the tool shed that I have in the back, and is like $700,000 home.
Ooh.
And I
Yeah.
told him, you can get one like that in Texas for like 1,200.
Mm-hmm.
Not a month, 1,200, and they'll build it for you, you know.
Right.
So, you know, it's like it's a little bit nicer because your house is old and this thing is brand new. So,
Right.
you know, like you know, even it costs a lot of money to be homeless in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really have to make 75,000 or better just to be homeless.
God. I heard somebody else say that before, but I
it,
hadn't heard it that way.
that way, it's
Wow.
really expensive, you know. So I
Yeah.
liked it, and it's funny that you mentioned that because I remember when I got my first paycheck, it was $200,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I don't know if I should buy a car or the whole dealership. You know, it's like car or an airplane. I don't know, helicopter maybe. I don't know what I'm gonna buy. Skyriser. You know, I don't need a vacation home somewhere in Florida. You know, so I'm like, I don't know what to do with all this money. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and now is like a phone bill. You know.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. So in the South, is that where Johnny came from? The name itself?
um, actually, yes and yes and no.
Okay.
Um, so my last name is Haji Ali. So
Mhm.
everybody either call me Haji or everybody call me Ali.
Okay.
So um, I hung out and no, you know, people that I hang out with don't really read my name off of any certificate. Whatever
Mhm.
I tell you, you know, like phonically, that's what you're gonna call me.
Right.
So nobody actually, I don't think nobody ever seen my name on any kind of paperwork, how it's spelled, what it looks like, you know.
Mhm.
So I started driving trucks,
Mhm.
and I worked for the company, and I just could not work for the company. I could not have somebody tell me when to sleep, when to eat, and when to use the bathroom, and you know, I want to go home to see my wife and children, and they say, okay, we're gonna put you down for 2 months from now to go home for 2 days. And
Wow.
I said, nah, I'm just gonna buy my own truck and do my own thing, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, so when I got the truck, nobody could. I had to book my own loads,
Right.
and nobody could pronounce my name. And it was, and you know, when I tell people like Haji, you know, my name's Haji. That's like the during the war in Iraq, that was the term for the Iraqi people, you know. So some
Oh.
people were, you know, making jokes out of it. So they're like, "Hey, buddy, how are you, buddy?" You know those, and I'm like, "I'm not that Haji. I'm the other one," you know.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so, and I was sitting at home one day, and I was talking with my friends then, and they say, "I don't even know why you go with that name. Just be Johnny." And I'm like, I will never forsake the name my grandparents gave me. I will never
Right.
do it.
Right.
But then they say, okay, man, then you just got to deal with all the crap that comes with people pronouncing your name. And I said, Johnny, it is, you know.
Yeah, because I'm glad you brought that up because that concerned me also. Like, this is your family name. So why
Mm-hmm.
get this Americanized name to go by? Is that
It's just
disrespecting your
easier.
lineage? What's going on?
Yes, well, I get my children, they have all our names, you know, and they also have English names, you know, so they
Okay.
have their names on all the birth certificates and paperwork are our names.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is over generations, um, like for example, for me, when we did the DNA test, I know that I'm from the Balkans, but I don't really know um, like what is the real like ethnic what how far can I go back? Like when we go to the graveyard, where I'm from, I can see my great grandparents' graves there, you
Wow.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But I can only see the graves, but I can't. I don't know where they actually came from, who they really are. You know, I just know
Mm-hmm.
that they were buried in this soil for the past 10, 20, 30 generations, you know.
Right.
So what happens here, you lose that identity quick. You know, you just get pushed into this English speaking stream, and you either are or you're not, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I didn't want to risk that my children, grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, that they don't know where I came from, where we came from. I didn't want them to think that they are just here, that there is not a graveyard overseas somewhere where, 20, 30, 40 generations
Right.
of their grandfathers are and
Hmm.
grandmothers.
Right.
So I kind of wanted them to know that. But at the same time, it's a lot easier to, if you want to participate in the economy, you got to kind of click in.
Mhm.
So you can either be on the side and depend on, little crumbs to be thrown at you here and there just to, like, hey, get out of the way. Or you can participate in the economy, and why not?
Right.
It's like
Right.
after living for so long in tents and refugee camps, I want to have a nice house. I
Hmm.
want to have food in my fridge. I want to have a nice car. I want to have, like, my children probably don't even know how to disassemble a toothpaste. I almost said the other thing.
I was waiting. I was waiting.
And it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling that they don't know.
Right.
It's a
Right.
really great feeling. So when
Right.
I ask them, hey, do you guys know how to, if, a bomb falls on the house, what we're going to do? They're like, I don't know. And I'm like, great, because there's no danger that happens. I
Right.
mean, it can happen, but there's like the chance is slim to none.
Hmm.
So things like that. So I want to have the nice things, and in order to do that, I can be my name. I can call myself whatever I want to when I come home. But when I go out there, um, I have to make it easier for people to be able to contact me and to be able to do it and make people comfortable.
Right.
So when I go over there, when I go somewhere and the name sounds a little bit too unfamiliar,
Hmm.
um, people just don't want to do any business with it.
Yeah.
It,
I
it,
can
it's just,
understand that.
you know. So it's like if I have a chance to do business with, you know, Dr. Ebony Bowers
Hmm.
or Dr. Abdallah Hala Mahala Shahala. And it's sad, but that's how it
It's
is.
true. It's very
So,
true. I mean, you're right. It is sad, but it is
mhm,
absolutely 100% true. And
mhm,
even in the African American or Black culture, some of the names are like, hey, I'm just telling you, you put your resume out there, you probably not going to get a call back. I'm just going to let you know.
it's,
And it's sad that we have to do that in order to try
mhm,
to succeed.
it's, but it's the reality.
It is.
So
It
we
is.
have two options. It is sad. So we
Mhm.
have two options to either deal with it or to go home and cry.
Right.
And I think a couple of years ago when we had that first market crash, I was in trucking, and I was sitting somewhere with I was at a repair facility. I had some issue with my truck, and I was talking to one of the drivers that was there, and he said, "Man, I would never buy a truck. That's the most stupid idea ever." I say, "Why?" He said, "The payments are high, the freight is low,
Hmm.
the permits, insurance, um, fuel prices are high, maintenance is too expensive, repairs are too expensive." And I said, mortgage is too expensive, phone bill is too expensive, food is too expensive, light bill, water bill are too expensive. Let's just commit suicide and get it over with. Why deal with the problems in life? Let's just commit suicide right here, right now, and we will not
Hmm.
have another payment for that. He says, "Well, I'm not going to kill myself for that." And I
Hmm.
say, "Well, that means you're going to have to live."
Right.
So if the apple is $5 and I want to eat an apple, I'm gonna have to pay $5 or just sit there and cry how they are expensive. So you kind of have to um, make some adjustments for yourself, and you got to make up your mind. This
Hmm.
is sad. So do I want to sit at home and wallow in it the whole time, or do I want to just deal with it? Yeah, okay. So what is
Right.
gonna take for me to um, I'm not gonna name my son Osama ibn Taliban Jihad.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna
Right.
name them because I know that down the line I'm gonna give them our name.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to give them something that's extreme that's going to give him problems later on in life. I'm not going to do that, you know. And then, so he has my children. They have the same names like me, but they also have their nicknames that their friends call them with. And
Right.
so,
Right.
so now they have mentally that gives them two identities. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it gives them the mentality of this is my name, this is what my family calls me, this is who I am, this is where I come from,
Right.
and this is who I am. But at the same time, this is where I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
and this is who I am
Right.
in this world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so now you have a little bit of balance. You know, they keep you
Gotcha.
grounded to who you are, where are you from.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you gotta understand, just because you are from here and you are this, you're not gonna get nothing for free.
So
You
true.
know, so if you don't put your hands on anything, you're not gonna have it. You
Mm-hmm.
have to go out there and use your hands, your brain, use whatever you have at your disposal. And thank God, here in this country, we have a lot of things at our disposal. So
Mm-hmm.
now think, um, we can think that you know, all of the odds are set against me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give up. And
Right.
I'm okay with people who do that. I'm okay. I cannot tell you no different.
Mm-hmm. Because
You
people
know,
just need to live their life.
people just need to live their life. And if you think that you're gonna give up, there's nothing that I can do. You know, so it's like you're gonna give up anyway. So give up. Let me get out of your way. But people who say, "Hey, the odds are against me, but I gotta make something happen," I'll say, "Hey, I'm in the same situation. Let's do something together.
Mm-hmm.
Odds are against you. Odds are against me. Why don't we be on the same team then? You know." So
Right.
it's like you know, so like me and you can accomplish a lot more than you by yourself and me
Mm-hmm.
by yourself. You know. So I think there's another proverb that's out there that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with the crowd, or
Right.
something along those lines. Maybe I'm saying
Or
it
go with
wrong. You
someone
know,
else or something. Yeah.
something,
Mm-hmm.
something. But you get the gist of it. You know. So it's sad. A lot of things are is sad, but it's sad reality. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so we have to find out, you know, like I'm not sure if you follow TikTok too much, but I saw this video on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or one of them. uh, it was like a choice: be broke and happy for the rest of your life, or rich and sad. And the guy's like rich and sad, and he's like on the airplane, you know, going to Bahamas, maybe. He's sitting on like a big table with a lot of food. And he's like, and you know, like looking at his bank account, there are millions and zeros are just coming. He's like, so it's like, you know, so when they say money can buy you happiness, I always say, you know, I cry and I'm hungry, so let me cry a little bit on a full belly. You know, so it's
Right.
like, you know, I don't need to be happy. I just need to be, you know, fed and secure, safe.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
so that's.
So
Mhm.
during this whole process, I have realized that you have answered a lot of my questions that I haven't even asked you yet, which
Really, look at
is
that.
great. That's great. But I do have one that, and it may not even apply because what you've already told me, but is when you came to the US, in particular in Georgia, was there one particular ethnic group or groups that really accepted you, or did it just not matter because you all were all in the struggle together? What
Um,
what did you find?
well, I really don't know how to answer that question correctly. You know, so
It's this is your story, so nothing is correct or incorrect. You
oh,
tell
incorrect. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So the areas like Clarkston, if you look at Clarkston, you know, it's like a very diverse area, and I think that the high school, Clarkston High School, won the most, the best integrated or not integrated, the best diverse, maybe diverse or integrated, one of those two terms. I'm not sure. Schools in the United States.
right,
So there's a lot of well, the area is right there, predominantly what you would call African American, but the other ethnic groups that's there is East Africans and Southeast European refugees. You know, so and you know, like with people from Somalia and people from Bosnia, we have a very similar culture, similar, you know, religion background, very similar. So we just look different, but we are the same, you know.
mm-hmm.
So in that area, I had a lot of pretty much a lot of friends from every single background that you can imagine, But the most influence obviously is the African American area. So the most influence in American culture is from there,
Right.
So with the language, with um, clothes, cars, how you speak, how do you carry yourself, how do you deal with the world around you, is
Right.
mostly from that culture because that's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to right now, let's say um, China, a lot of what you learn how to carry yourself and how to participate in the local culture is not gonna be Arabian.
Right.
It's not gonna be Russian. It's gonna be Chinese because that's where you go. You might
Mm-hmm.
have some groups and pockets of people that are from Russia or Yemen or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but predominantly you're gonna focus on that Chinese culture because you are in China. you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I think that I can't really tell you if who accepted me the most and who rejected me the most because I'm the kind of person that good people who are like me automatically are
They're gonna
attracted to
like
me
you. Right.
immediately. So I didn't
Right.
really have too much so people either like are with me or leave me alone.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yes, it
So
does.
it's like so no matter where I go, and I think your my auntie said the same thing about you. She said Ebony never meets a stranger. And I said, wow. She's like, she's gonna interview you for about an hour. I'm like, make it three.
Yes, you told me that the other day too. I was like, all right, this could be real dangerous here.
How
So
does Saturday and Sunday sound to you?
right. Exactly. So I know you mentioned earlier about keeping your family name. And of course, making sure that your kids had that.
Mhm.
Um, what other traditions have you kept from your homeland?
Food mostly. So you carry your food no matter where you go.
Okay.
So we like the hot dogs and Big Macs and Go Cowboys and all of that stuff. But we have a lot of the foods that are really particular to that area,
Mhm.
and it's something that like no matter where you go in the world, whatever you were raised on is always gonna be the food that you're gonna gravitate to. So
Right.
we have the food. Um, I'm not really big in sports, but every time the country where I'm from participates in any sports, for example, what 7 or 8 years ago, we made it to the World Cup in soccer for the first time,
Hmm.
and um, it was a really proud moment because you know World Cup,
Right. That's huge. That is the
it,
World Cup.
World Cup. So far, we only have been known for genocide and war and genocide. Now
Right.
we are known for like athletic abilities more than just, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to support them. But unfortunately, I had to work the whole time. So
Oh.
I supported them spiritually, but
Mhm.
not by sitting there watching the TV. So, and we have the flags, um, the names, the food, the music, the language. I try to teach the kids the language as much as I can, because
Good.
that's important to know. And it's not really necessary because no matter where they go, English is the number one language. Or if right here where we are in Dallas area, in Texas in general, Spanish is a lot more um, useful
Hmm.
than our language. So our language is really just to kind of keep grounded to the where we are from.
Right.
It's not for the business, it's not for advancement, any kind of advancement in life, any worldly gains, so to say,
Mm.
is just for, a little bit more on the spiritual side, so to say.
Gotcha.
So that, and what else? The holidays, but the holidays are pretty much, um, my city, my hometown, where I'm from, is known as Jerusalem of Europe.
Okay.
So we have the three faiths in there, So we have the Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. As a
Hmm.
matter of fact, I think that's the only place outside of Jerusalem where you can find a Jewish synagogue next to a mosque, next to a Catholic church, next to a Orthodox church
Wow.
on the same block, and
Wow.
they are not new structures that are just now built. They are,
Right.
7, 8, 900 years old, 1,000 years old structures, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So the holidays are pretty much the same, So um, for for during Christian holidays, all the other two faiths, the other three faiths participate in the holidays, So
Okay.
during Islamic, and that's one thing that I don't see in the United States, So
Hmm.
whatever religion you are, this is it. This is it. I'm gonna die with it. You can ridicule me. You can
Right.
uh, do whatever you want to me, but I will not be friendly towards other people. That's you know.
Hmm.
Um, so for example, during the month of Ramadan,
Hmm.
the Christian people um, fast for 30 days, and you don't really have
Really?
and you don't really have to because it's not in your religion, So
Right.
during the Passover, the Christians and the Muslims they fast because their Jewish neighbors are doing the same thing,
Right.
So it's difficult to explain. The way I tell people is take everything that you know about the world. If you want to know the structure of the country that I'm in,
Hmm.
that I'm from, take everything that you know about the world and history and religion and spirituality and economy and academics and military, whatever you know, and throw it in the trash can because you will not need it. It's going to be exactly the opposite over
Right.
there. So it's like it's very difficult to explain. It's like
Well, I mean, I think you can simplify it. I mean, honestly, when I worked at Disney, I was in the college program years ago,
mhm,
and it sounds very similar to what we did as young adults. We had friends that were Jewish. We had friends that were Christian. We had friends that were atheists, whatever. It didn't matter. Like you said, when Passover came, one of our boys' moms sent him a whole big old Passover package, and he's like,
mhm,
hey, y'all, come over, see what it's
mhm.
like, and so we're like, all right, come on, let's see what this Passover's about. And
Yeah.
so we just sat down, learned something, shared a meal. It was great, and it didn't matter what your own personal belief was, but you were sharing different ideas and learning from each other, and it was
So
just
you
a
learned
nice,
that too.
yeah, it's just a nice experience. It was
It's
no,
great.
it was. And I told him, I was like, look, I might just convert to Judaism just so I can have this good food. This food was good. I told him, I said, look, I'm down with having some little mini Kravitz. You know how Lenny Kravitz is in
Uh-huh.
there? I said, I will totally make some Lenny Kravitz up in here because this
My
food was good.
God. It was that
It
good.
was good.
When Auntie hears this video,
I I can guarantee you, I could probably call him right now, and he'd be like, "Yep, Ebony told me that."
and that's good. That's good. You see, and that's really like this is how you're really supposed to be around people. This is how you're supposed to be with.
Mhm.
You're really supposed to do it like that, So just the fact that you said, "Yeah, I'm leaving from here. I'm going back for the food," it's like it tells you a lot, So,
Right.
but as we get older, people don't do that no more. When you're young, you are able to adapt like that,
Mhm.
So when we start getting older, we start being like whatever label is on us, we're really gonna stick and defend that label no matter what.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So, like a lot of times when people ask me, so, hey, did you vote for Hillary? I say no. They say, oh, okay, so you voted for Trump. And I say no. They're like, oh my God, how's that possible? I'm like, easy. I slept the day that I was supposed to. I was tired from the day before. You know that there's an option that you don't have to vote. And they're like, oh, how? And I'm like,
Right.
very easy. It's very easy, So, it is. There was a point to that, but I just
It's probably
completely.
about choices.
The choices, yeah, the choices. You know, you can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to. If you have, like when people tell me I have to pick the lesser of two evils, and I'm like, you actually don't.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick no evil at all.
Right. That's true.
You know, so it's like, every time I ask you, hey, Ebony, do you want me to, stab you with a dull knife or to stab you with a sharp knife? You're like, I just don't want you to stab me. And I'm
At
like,
all. Right.
hey, no, that's not how the game goes. And you're like, yep, that's how the game goes.
Like, that is an option. That was
That is an
unspoken,
option,
but it's still an option.
Exactly. And if you come any closer, you might get stabbed with both of those knives. So it's like there's
You're
always
right.
options. And
You're right.
with the holidays, I really enjoy being here too,
Mm-hmm.
because this is also melting pot of cultures too, So it's like um, we have we have so many people from so many different places that every day is some kind of holiday,
Mm-hmm.
And on the surface, I look like a busy guy that likes to do things that say grabs life by the horns or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
deep down inside, I'm really lazy. Whatever your holiday is today, I'm like, yep, we're gonna eat and do nothing else.
It's like, I'm celebrating. Sign me up.
Sign me up. We're just gonna eat some dry food. Better than work. Sounds better than what? Like it already.
Right, right.
Uh,
So, just kind of speaking about just the communication and the openness to learning about others. I know you're not really into politics, but I am interested in hearing what you would tell lawmakers about immigration and what needs to be improved, if anything, from your experience.
you know, um, when people, I think it should be a better system to kind of vet the people who are coming to United States to contribute to the society and better themselves, and people who are, um, coming here to cause harm to all of us collectively.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a better system because there is this popular notion right now that all the immigrants are poor and hurt and they all need our help. And I'm here to tell you that no, that's not the case.
Right.
There are some bad people out there.
Mm-hmm.
There are people. If all, let's say my country, if all the people there were so great, then why would I be here?
Right.
If we all got along amazingly over there and we are all big happy family and everything is great and nice and beautiful, then why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
No, those people are not good. I fled from them. And I fled to 7, 8 different countries before I finally ended up here.
Right.
And in those countries, the other countries that I went to, I met the good and the bad. I
Mm-hmm.
met some people who welcomed us into their home, shared their meals, we did a lot of things, and then we ran into some people who caused harm to us and kicked us out of the country, period.
Right.
So there should be a better way, when you see, for example, adult men need to be really looked into a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But a young mother with 2, 3 small children, how much of a threat is she really?
Right.
To your life and to your precious economy and your precious Bill of Rights and amendments and all of that good stuff. And I hear that a lot. They're gonna come here and change our amendments. No, they won't.
Right.
They just wanna go to Walmart and see 75 pounds of bananas on the rack. And pledge allegiance to
That's
whatever
all
this
they
is.
want.
I pledge allegiance to it, whatever it is.
Right.
So it's like, uh, just to give you an idea, when you go to a butcher shop back home and you say, I want 3 chickens, they will
Right.
tell you why. What do you need? What's special about you? Who are you that you need 3 chickens?
Mm-hmm.
Take one and go home. Come back tomorrow for another one.
Mm-hmm.
But here I can go and buy 75 chickens and nobody's gonna question me.
Right.
So people want to live normal life.
Mm-hmm.
And with the lawmakers, you also got to keep in mind your laws, your foreign policies are the reasons why those people are refugees coming here.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
so
That is true.
well, I mean,
Mhm.
think about it. You know, so your foreign policy is causing them to flee their homeland and find somewhere to go. You
Mm.
know, so I saw a picture not too long ago that export is bombs and import is refugees. So when you bomb, expect refugees. When you bomb, expect refugees. You know, so
Wow.
it's a cycle. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so if you want your country to be safe and protected and appreciated and whatever we hear out there in the media, you got to see how you treat the world. You got
Right.
to see, well, what is your uh, how does your policy influence the world? You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I can't pass by your house every day throwing eggs at your car and your um, at your house and kick down your mailbox and kick your cat every time I see it, but then expect my house next door to yours to be safe, to be secure, and
Right.
not to have any eggs thrown at my car. Because eventually
Mm-hmm.
you're going to say, Johnny, you are a great neighbor, and I really appreciate you egging my house and throwing toilet paper in my trees,
Right.
but you gotta stop.
Mm-hmm.
You
Exactly.
know, so the domestic policy is greatly affected by foreign policy and vice versa. Foreign policy is greatly affected by domestic policy. So
Right.
if we are, and a lot of people say, well, if you don't like it, you can leave, you can go to this place or to that place. And I'll say, yes, you're right, I can. I don't want to. It's less chance that I'm going to become a victim of domestic policy than a victim of a foreign policy.
Right.
It's a lot more likely that I'm going to be, struck by a drone
Mm-hmm.
somewhere overseas then it is likely that I will be struck by anything here. Yes, we have crime here. Yes, we have robberies and shootings and killings, and we have a lot of that stuff. But it's less likely that somebody is gonna shoot me at that Walmart in front of those 75 bananas
Mm-hmm.
than it is that I'm gonna be carpet bombed somewhere else in the world.
Right.
So when you drop 500 bombs on a village, on
Mm-hmm.
a city, on a town, on a province, some of them gonna die, some of them gonna survive and really hate you, and the others are gonna wanna come to your country.
Right.
So you gotta be careful, So you gotta, a third of them you're gonna lose, a third of them gonna be mad, a third of them gonna be at your door asking, knocking on the door, hey, I gotta come in because I don't have a home anymore. You
Right.
just destroyed my home.
Mm-hmm.
So there gotta be a little bit better um, system, so people who are like, it took us 13 years to get the application approved.
Wow.
And we went through 7 different countries before the application was finally approved.
Mm.
And I'm glad actually that experience made me understand the life from a better perspective, understand people from a different perspective, because all of those people, uh, actually, one more thing that during the 90s, the World Health Organization ranked Bosnia. When I was there, I thought that this was absolute hell. No
Mhm.
food. My city was under the longest capital city siege in the modern history.
Wow.
It was under siege for 3 years, and we received a lot of humanitarian aid, and that humanitarian aid was the food that expired during the Vietnam War. We received humanitarian aid in cans that expired 30 and 40 years ago.
Wow. Mm.
So you're saying, hey, I'm helping you, I'm giving you this trash, and we are saying, please don't send no more trash.
Right.
You don't have nowhere to put your trash. We're not
Hmm.
using it, and it's just trash. So the World Health Organization ranked it at number 7 worst place to be on the planet. And when I
Mm.
heard that, I was like, wow, you mean to tell me? I didn't think that we are number 7. This is bad. I was thinking there are 6 other places that look at us thinking, wow, you guys got it good.
Got it good. Right. Right.
You know, so it's like, um, yes, we are the best country that's out there now, and yes, we got the best, yes, all of the good stuff. But with the immigration policies, Not everybody is a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has the same dreams of collapsing the country, causing harm.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look into the actual events that's happening, all the attacks that's happening here are not from those groups.
Exactly. You are right.
They are
You
not
are
from those
100% correct on that one.
groups. So
Right.
maybe we need to adjust the domestic policy a little bit more and loosen the immigration policy a little bit more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So none of those events were from sworn enemies, so to say, from
Right.
overseas. It was all homegrown.
Mm-hmm. So, what advice would you give to immigrants about being successful in the US other than get here and work as hard as you possibly can?
Actually, Texas got that thing that says I wasn't born in Texas, but I got here as fast as I could. And I like it. You know, I really like it. So, so language. The biggest thing that I see with a lot of foreigners, a lot of immigrant groups, is the language. You know, so yes, if you have a strong community here and you don't need to have English as a language, you know, you have your own uh, factories, stores, dealerships, car dealerships, hospitals, clinics, stores, um, and you don't really need the language. Okay, but once you leave from out of that area, you still need the language. The language is really, no matter where you go on the planet, you need to learn the language.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter where you go, see, English is the global language. It's a language of the global trade. Is a business language, really, you know. And when you listen to English, is really uh, exchange of information.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's not like you can't really. It's not really like you can't really speak from the soul. And this is gonna sound weird, but when you know the other languages, and the way the structure of the language is, you also start to learn the culture and the thinking of the people, and you start to learn a lot of different things. And English language is just a transfer of information. So you need to
Right.
learn it to be able to communicate and transfer the information. You don't have to transfer your personal feelings and your spiritual experiences, but you need
Mm-hmm.
to transfer information. So learning the language, and that's not only for immigrants in America, immigrants anywhere.
Right.
You go right now anywhere in the world. If you go to Zimbabwe,
Mm-hmm.
you will find 10% of the people speak fluent English.
Hmm.
But what about the other 90%? You know, the other 10 speaks French, the other 10 speak something else, you know. But whatever area you're in, you will need to know their language,
Right.
you know. And it kind of closes the gap between, you know, us and them,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So when me and you can communicate and you and I can come to an understanding and we can laugh and we can joke, then there is no more, uh, you know, us and them. It's
Right.
just, this Johnny, this Ebony.
Right.
You know, so it's like there is no, you know, so the language is number one thing. If we can communicate, then how can we come to an understanding?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so working hard, yes. Working smart, yes. Go, you know, education is also important. Um, you have to have some education to have a higher paying job, or you got to have your own ideas and really, really follow your ideas. You know, Bill Gates said, I don't have a college degree, but to work for me, you need to have one.
Right.
You know, so it's like you really got to be aware,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever I think applies across the board for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a crappy person, just go and do crappy things, no matter what your political, ethnic, spiritual, religious background is, economic
Mm-hmm.
background is. You can always succeed at being a crappy person. It's very easy to do so,
Yeah.
you know. But if you want to change some, well, let me change that back. I do have certain advice for certain different groups.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna tell somebody who's a bodybuilder how to eat healthy, how to
Ah,
avoid, you know, you
gotcha.
understand. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna tell somebody who has diabetes how to be able to get around it and eat more sugar. You
Ah,
know, so
gotcha.
it's like you kind of you kind of, you know, I'm not gonna tell a bald head guy how to comb his hair, So it's like,
Right.
so so
Okay, yeah, so that's
yeah,
very important advice also.
exactly, So if you when you talk to a lady, don't say nothing about her mustache. It's gonna be great, no matter how you look. So you gotta know where your advice is necessary and where it's not. So
True,
it's
very
like
true,
you
very,
see.
very true.
So those kind of things, like that was a joke, but that's kind of what I have in mind. And I know I'm, you know, talking more than necessary, but
You're fine.
and I appreciate your time. I really appreciate it. And my wife is over there laughing. Do you want to say hi, Sabrina? She said no. She just gave me this look like.
She can do that once we finish recording.
All right, that's a good deal. Sabrina, oh yeah, we got thumbs up, one thumb up. So whatever that means.
Well, we are getting close to the end of our interview. And I consider this to be, well, the next two questions to be some of the most humanizing questions of the interview. And it's because of your auntie. In case you didn't know, she's a music person. So the next two questions are about music. The first one is, what is your favorite song that represents you?
Oh my God! You should have told me this like 2 months ago so I can do some research. Because every song that I listen to represents me.
Well,
If
which
it
one
does
did you
not,
hear?
don't listen to it.
Which one did you hear this morning that best represents you? I don't. That's your favorite song, by the way.
Oh my God! But the music does run in the family, just like my auntie does.
Mm-hmm.
So my son plays. He plays mellophone,
Okay.
French horn, and something else. And my daughter plays the piano. Well, she plays the keyboard, but she plays the piano. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to answer that question now that I think about it because every song that I listen to, I'm not saying that every song that I hear,
Okay.
every
That is
song
a
that I
difference.
listen to,
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge difference between hearing
Yes.
something and listening to something.
You're right.
Okay, so every song that I listen to is my favorite song. I really cannot narrow it down to what's one favorite song. So, to different parts of the day, different parts of the year, different parts of different moods
Right.
call for different music. So, oh my God, and I feel all of the elements today. So I really cannot tell you. I really cannot tell you what's my favorite song or what did we hear this morning. Some days I like some styles of the music. Sometimes I need something slow to slow me down.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I need something fast to pick me up. Sometimes I need something in the middle. Sometimes I need something with no deep thoughts behind it,
True.
just to, shut the brain down and enjoy the moment. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I need something that's worth of thinking about on a beat, you know? So
Right.
it's like, what is my favorite song?
And I love how you're buying time.
Oh, no, 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 no. So my favorite song, wait. How about you? What is yours?
Well, like you said, it runs in the family. I have a lot of
Mhm.
different favorites and all kind of things depending on how I feel, all kind of stuff. Um, let's see.
But
Mine would be Tornado by Little Big Town. And I'm just saying this today because I feel like I'm gonna have to be a tornado to
hmm,
somebody. I
let's get
don't
off
know
of this
why, I
call.
don't know when,
Let's
but
get off of this call while we're still safe before we have to seek shelter, right? I need my roof. That
but
is
at the
awesome.
same time, I could see where What You Are by like Dave Matthews Band, I could see that just because I I'm just in the mood to hear that song right now. So
Really?
I'm just giving you some
So
examples. So what is yours? This is your story.
this is really, really, really awkward right now. I mean, literally, my brain is just blank. Like I feel like a cow in a pasture,
just just chewing away and
just
thinking.
chewing, completely blank. I'm trying to think, and I can't even think of. I like.
Well,
I
I'll
really
make it
can't tell you.
easier for you. I will skip to the last question.
Please, thank you, thank you. And I will give you an answer to this one, but it might be a month or two.
What? I hope not. This one is, what song do you believe best represents your country of origin?
What songs best represent? So I think that the actually the national anthem represented the best, and it actually came from the people.
Okay.
So the national anthem, it came, people put it together, and of course, after the war, it was part of the sanctions. We had sanctions, we had a lot of things going on. It was a part of the deal to lift the sanctions and to normalize the life somewhat, to get rid of all of that, to get rid of the original flag. And we have one of those European Union flags that's blue, white, yellow with some like no meaning whatsoever.
Gotcha.
Our flag that means something, we cannot. We still fly it,
Mm-hmm.
but um, anything that hints any way on any kind of ethnic identity. That song, it really talks about the struggle of all the three people that live there, the against the world powers. And it really sings that the song is about, we are the product of our land, and we are on our land, and all the struggles, all the issues, all the problems that we have, we will face them here on our land, because we can go anywhere in the world, but here we are, our people on our soil.
Mm-hmm.
Like our culture, our language, we are all one people. We have these different religions, we have these different ethnic issues, but we are here. This is our land. So I really like that song, and I think that I can find one with English subtitles, and it's gonna be very low quality. Again, whatever you know about the world, throw it in the trash when you're dealing with with like, if you think you saw some low budget movies or some low budget production, let me assure you, you have not. If you think you saw some cheap low budget stuff, let me assure you, you have not.
Well,
But you will soon.
I look forward to receiving that text so I can experience that for myself.
Yes. And maybe you can share it with your viewers too.
I
It
would
might
love
be
to.
a little bit, it's going to be a little bit hard to understand, because the way the language structure, and the language is also a cultural identity of people. So you can hear the language and you can understand the words, but you might not understand the meaning because of not knowing the culture.
Right.
So like in English, what's up? That's like, what is up? You really gotta, if you translate the phrase, it's not gonna make no sense.
Right.
Into whatever language. What is above? What is above? What kind of phrase is that? That's the most basic thing you have ever heard in your life. But when it's from your language, from your culture, it makes perfect sense. What is that? What's up? What's going on? How you doing?
Right.
So that's the kind of things. So I'm really sorry that I could not give you those two answers.
No. And no, you gave me the one, but not the other. And that's fine, because it's too many in your brain right now.
Actually, my brain is completely blank. But you're right.
I gave you way too much credit.
Way too much credit. You know, you gave me a 750 score on a 345. You know? So, but I will send you some because there are so many. There are so many, and it's really hard for me to pin anything down to a favorite. You know, because is some days I feel like this, and some days I feel like that, and some days this is my absolute favorite, and some days this is my absolute favorite. You know, so it's difficult to talk in absolutes because of that reason.
Right.
If that makes sense, you know. So I will send that to you. And I'll be on the lookout. Actually, as soon as we finish here, I will send it over to you.
Okay.
Unless you need it before then.
No, it's fine. Let's finish this up. We're almost done.
Oh my God, what is that? 3 hours? Is the Zoom saying?
Not exactly.
Get it wrong.
We're a little under, but
very little under. Like very little under. Ebony.
Johnny. Cousin. Exactly. Thank you so much for telling us your story. And to all of you, thank you for watching. Take care, and may there be peace, love, understanding, and social justice for all.
Peace, love, and understanding.